For the final time of the main Ferrari Esports Series 2021 Championship, a very big hello and warm welcome to our race broadcast this evening. Can you believe it? Tonight, the championship comes to a final conclusion as we look to decide who are the drivers that are set to make it to the grand final event of the Ferrari Esports Series 2021 this December the 14th. As we ramp up ahead of the two races of round 4 at Spa-Francorchamps tonight, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce myself, Nikki Shields, Formula E presenter, motorsport presenter and esports presenter, and Paul Jeffrey again serving up his unique northern outlook on what is happening on the circuit. And he's sat patiently behind me with the look of someone who doesn't quite know if it's time to stop smiling or look at the camera just yet as he awaits his turn to say hello. Hello, Paul.
It's absolutely true. I often don't know where to look when these segments are taking place, so thank you very much for that, Nikki. Much appreciated. And hello to everybody this evening. Thank you very much for joining us in the Ferrari Esports Series. I am ramping up the excitement to level 11. It's the final round of the championship. It's the beautiful Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and I cannot wait to see how our drivers get on this incredibly challenging track when the pressure is at its absolute highest. It's going to be fantastic, and let's get this show on the road. So, have you ever wanted to know more about the Ferrari Esports Series, but were too afraid to ask? Well, fear not, dear viewer, because we're going to have a short and concise overview of what our Ferrari drivers have had to go through to get to this stage in the championship and what lays in wait for them before we can eventually crown one driver as our champion and earning a seat for the Ferrari Driver Academy esports team, a money cannot buy opportunity. So let's have a look at what our drivers have faced so far this year. 48 drivers qualify for the 4-round main Ferrari Esports Series beginning on August 31st and ending on the 30th of November, taking in 4 iconic European racetracks and 4 beautiful Ferrari models in Assetto Corsa. The drivers will have to score points, and the top 24 will go to the final 3-round dash on December the 14th. Imola, Barcelona and Mugello will make up these finals, with a car yet to be announced, and the grand final winner will be crowned very end. And now let's take a look at the standings ahead of this final race of the championship season. Isaac Price, Kawa Pavlovsky and Danilo Santoro are our top 3 runners, separated by just 14 points. Adrian Cott, Wojciech Lukaszek and Umberto Principe round out the top 6, and Kamil Filipek is the man on the bubble in 12th position and currently the last driver that will qualify for the grand finale later next month. Group A has proven to be an incredibly tight championship, and over in Group B, Arnaud Lecombe is our runaway championship leader, Maxime Batafoulier making it an all-French affair at the top of the field, and Michael Tanitsa on the bottom step of the provisional for podium in the championship standings. Leonardo Pagano, Leonardo Dalcombe and Yoni Katila are our top 6 drivers, and Jakub Stramidlo is in 12th position, and as it stands with 4 points will progress to the grand finale.
Well, thank you, Paul. And that is a rather tasty looking field of drivers there. And we've got plenty of storylines left to conclude and championship points up for grabs before we call time on the main Ferrari Esports Series Championship. Now, ahead of the racing tonight, let's have a look at this beautiful livery design from Joelle, who wins the competition to adore the 488 GT3 Evo during the racing this evening. Round 4 of the Ferrari Esports Series competition. Yep, that is right. The beautiful livery that you see on your screens right now is one of the winning designs from our Ferrari Esports Series livery competition. Thank you for all the submissions, but this one was submitted by Joelle Prescio and judged by all the Ferrari fans through our official website and social media. So congratulations to him, and we cannot wait to see how good that car is going to look out on the circuit later. Now, as Paul mentioned at the top of the show, the scene of our 2 races this evening is the mighty Spa Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. It is often regarded as one of the finest racing venues in the whole of Europe, if not the world. And it really is a track that is more than capable of producing very exciting, often rather dramatic races, no matter what the category of car. So as we do get ready to hit the track for our first of two races, time to hand over to the Ferrari 2020 Esports Series champion, Ferrari Driver Academy Esports team star, Giovanni De Salvo. He's going to take us on a guided tour of this really, truly impressive racetrack.
Welcome to the Ferrari 101 track tutorial in Spa, Belgium.
Hi, I'm Giovanni De Salvo. Welcome here in Spa for an lap, so let's start. Before turn 1 we brake at the 100-meter sign and we downshift to first gear. Then flat out the rouge, but be careful with the line and use all the curves on the left. After coming straight, we brake again at the 100-meter sign. Downshift to second gear and put the third just after the first left corner. We get the gear also for the right-hander and use all the curve. So we arrive in turn 10, we brake at the beginning of the curve. Downshift to first gear and we try to be as close as possible in the inside. So second and third gear and we keep it for turn 11. Heading to P1, we brake in the middle of the right curb, downshift third gear, and we try to keep the inside without taking the curb. Then we have turn 13 and 14, we brake at the beginning of the left curb. We downshift to second gear and we put the third before steering left. So turn 15, we brake again at the beginning of the left curb and we use all the track as possible in the exit and we keep the outside for the next corner in order to carry the maximum speed possible for the last sector. Finally, we brake at the 100-meter sign and we approach a bus stop in first gear. Very easy to lose the rear here. And that was a lap of Spa.
Fabulous stuff, Giovanni. Thank you for that. Showing off all those skills that took you to the 2020 Ferrari Esports Series Championship. Right, ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere at all because we are about to end the talking and start the racing. So without further ado, let's hit the track and see what our Ferrari Esports Series stars have to offer here at Spa-Francorchamps. Beautiful as Spa-Francorchamps is, I am delighted to welcome alongside me today two people into the commentary box, Brendan Lee Azores and Dino Boganovic. Hello, gents.
Hello, thank you so much for having me back.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Really, really good, guys. Thank you for joining us today in what is the final race of the championship season here at Spa-Francorchamps. As we well know, the audience at home, this is the last two races, starting with Group A. And let's have a look at the starting grid. Isaac Price from Luca Vanole round out the front row of the grid. Karol Pawlowski and Wojciech Lukaszek are in positions 3 and 4. In 5th position, Nicola Puntolo ahead of Danilo Santoro, Adrian Cott and Luca Tavanari as 7th and 8th on the grid. Rounding out the top 10 is Angelo Colavito and Daniele Passade, 9th and 10th, Tony Beergrand and Umberto Principe in position 11 and 12. Yuval Sharon and Ruben Garcia are 13th and 14th, Camel Philippek and Alfonso Lorca in 15 and 16, 17th on the grid, Bastian Marti just ahead of Josh Martin in 18th, Timur Bensic in 19th and Vincent Bael in 20th position, Mirko Pompili in 21st, Noah Rodriguez 22nd, and the last two drivers, Andrea Ottomane and Gianluca Manigone, are 23rd and 24th, and Luca Gravino in 25th position. Gentlemen, a stacked grid, an outstanding car, and a sensational racetrack. Let's just about start to go racing. The cars are lined up on the grid. The lights are about to be extinguished. And here we go for the 4th and final race of the season in the Ferrari Esports Series main championship. A good start for everybody. The first corner down into the La Source hairpin. We've got our pole position man retains the race lead. The remainder of the field is squabbling away now. Everybody needs to be careful not to get involved in any kind of incident at the start of the race. This is the danger zone. Isaac Price is navigating his way through there perfectly on the run up to La Source. Cal Pavlovsky in second position, Marco Vanoli in position 3. Delivering cars, we head now over the top of the hill and down into the Camel Straight. Brendan Lee, a nice clean start from everyone.
Yeah, especially Isaac Price. If my memory serves me correctly, last time out, he was dominating really well on the pace. Let's see if he can set up the rest of this race. He's got a clean start, head down, battling side by side, bit of contact. They know how critical this is for championship position. Cars going off the track as well.
Yeah, some fantastic scenes here. That is a change in position for third place. Danilo Santoro takes away the position from Marco Vanoli. So Vanoli now has work to do, lose it down into Lecombe. So Marco Vanoli now under pressure from the car behind as well. That is Nicola Pantola. We saw contact further down the running order. Josh Martin up to 14th in the order. That is Bastian Marte and Ruben Garcia both dropping down the running order. And Dino, if I'm going to throw to you for a moment, what are drivers going through in these early stages of the race? What's going through your mind? Attack or defend?
Obviously, you can gain so many positions in the beginning of the race, and that's the biggest opportunity of the race. So I think that's the key point of the race, to make up so many positions in the beginning.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks very much, Dino. And Brendan, now we see this fight. This is Vanoli, who was third, remember, in the opening few corners of this race. Lost a position earlier on, so Vanoli's on a charge. We're looking at Chiron as well, 9th place. And these drivers, they're desperate for those points to get that top 12, aren't they?
It's the final opportunity to possibly make your career into the grand finale. What could make your career into the Ferrari Esports team? You see side by side, hard fighting. Through the fast corner, is there going to be contact? There isn't. Nice, clean, high standard driving as always from our grid here.
Absolutely. Sharon now under pressure again. That's Adrian Cott behind in the blue and the black and green machine. Cott makes contact, and contact again in the second part of the chicane. That turns around Sharon. Sharon drops all the way outside at the top 10. Cars go streaming past. A very, very clumsy manoeuvre into the bus stop chicane. We've seen that many times before. And now we look at Nicola Pantola in 5th position. Pantola gets a good run through the La Source hairpin. He'll follow the cars up through Eau Rouge, try and attack into Lecombe. This is looking at Josh Martin now. He was 18th on the grid. He's made his way all the way up to 13th, courtesy of that contact for Sharon. Now 2 cars looking to go too wide through Eau Rouge. Nothing doing there. Somebody's off as well. Eau Rouge, big contact into the wall on the outside. Makes a mistake, and that knocks wide Martin too. Major drama, gentlemen, and that is a big accident, and that moves Sharon back up into 12th position. We've got Tavanari in the pit lane, Bastian Marte as a DNF, Garcia at the back of the field. Whew, there we go, more contact. Adrian Cott facing the wrong way. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars, 5 cars involved in that massive drama. And wow, Brendan, did not expect this level of contact and excitement in the early stages.
No, it's really shocking as well. This is obviously the tension boiling up all season long. The desperation is now setting into these drivers. They know this is the last chance to possibly make the grand finale. This is going to be a rather intense race because this isn't over. There's going to be a lot of cars spread out, but a lot of cars with damage right now. A lot of people angry, upset, emotional. There's going to be a lot more fighting to come, I assure you of that.
Absolutely, and Dino, I'm going to throw to you for this one. Of course, you've got a very, very nice career in the making of real-world motorsport, and you're also a sim racer. What goes through a driver's mind in this sort of scenario? It's the last race of your campaign. You need that result, and there's drama all around you. Are you thinking about that one? Are you concentrating on your own race? How do you dissect what's happened and then work that to your advantage?
Obviously, if you're fighting for a championship, you can't take as much risk for somebody who's not really fighting for the championship. So it's something to keep in mind all the time, and really think about who you're racing with.
Absolutely, sorry to interrupt you a second there, Dino, but we've got Puntola and Vanoli now fighting for position. Nicola Puntola that we're looking at now as Isaac Price sets the fastest lap of the race. Tried to go into the bus stop chicane on the outside. There's not enough room. Good driving from Puntola actually to keep himself out of trouble, and Vanoli retains fourth position for now. But Nicola Puntola looks like the man on the move at this moment in time. Lukaszek, in seventh position. We're looking at in the bright yellow machine. He has got Posada just ahead, so good start there for Posada to be running inside the top six. And so important, the slipstream effect here at Spa-Francorchamps. Let's have another look now at the replay coming down into T1 on the opening lap. That's Isaac Price taking an early race lead, some bunching further down the pack as you would expect in a tight hairpin corner. A couple of cars running wide on corner exit, but no drama really into T1. The drama would unfold much further around the lap at this section of racetrack as Lukaszek does his very best to find a way past and succeeds on Posada. So sixth position now for Lukaszek, and Brendan, that was a very tasty overtake.
Very good. He knows how critical this is, but you can see a nice little battle pack here. Three cars within a second of each other. The big slipstream effect around Spa. Obviously, you're in the critical middle sector right now. It's all about being precise, nailing the apexes, making sure the weight transfer is perfect. Don't overheat the tyres, but also you need to trim out the downforce, the long back straight, and also the run up over roofs and onto the chicane at the end of the straight as well. But you can see the car's pulling away. It might be a bit different on the setup right now. Of course, this is a GT car and you only have a smaller wing compared to a Formula 1 car, but you can still trim out the aero and change the camber on the car. How much do you attack the camber? You see side by side into, what's the name again? Sorry, that blew my mind right there.
Some good driving there. That's Principe running all the way around the outside as well, so he gets back onto the racetrack. But Dino, talking about setups for a moment, there's always a battle as a driver to go from what's the optimum quick setup for a car and what you're comfortable with as a driver. Where do you sit in that range? Do you go for what's data driven, technically the fastest? How much do you want the car to behave to your driving style as well?
Obviously, everybody have different driving styles. Some drivers prefer more oversteer or understeer, but also the setups change from qualifying to race. So maybe in the race you would like to have a more safe setup, let's say, especially in the endurance races. Also, good top speed, so you can challenge in the end of the straights.
Yeah, these drivers will, of course, have spent plenty of time testing these cars ahead of the race, getting the setup to their liking, working out where the car needs to be fast in comparison to their rivals, and this has a big impact in the performance. We're looking at Tony Biogrand now, 8th position, so another good start, another good opening 10 minutes of this race for Biogrand, 8th position at this moment in time. Posada ahead is dropping back a little bit from the pack ahead of him. Posada, remember, was running as high as 6th position at the early stages of this race. He's now in 7th position, but under pressure from P8. So Posada has a lot of work to do. He needs to stay within the top 12 places in the race and within the championship. This is Tony Biogrand that we're looking at, riding on board with, and picture in picture as well. Full concentration, racing gloves on the car in a GT style position as well, with his rig and seat set up, concentrated hard as it goes down through No Name, coming into Pooh on the double left hander, one of the most famous and dramatic corners here at Spa-Francorchamps. Carry the speed into the first part of the corner, run the car out wide for the line of least resistance. He's going to pick a slipstream up on the car. Posada ahead is not close enough to get into an attacking position. And Dino, as a driver, what can you do to influence how your rival ahead of you behaves? Are there any tricks that you can employ to make them concentrate more on you than the task in hand?
Obviously, you can stress them a bit and put some pressure from behind, brake a bit later, be really close in the braking so they look at the mirrors, and yeah, obviously set it up and try to have a good exit. Really focus on the exit out of the corners to have a good run on the straight.
And here's a man that's very much setting things up. This is Nicola Puntola. Goes to the outside, then goes to the inside, left and right, trying to cover the mirrors of Vanoli ahead of him. Vanoli, wise to that manoeuvre, though, does a great job of keeping the car on the straight and narrow. That is Nico Puntola that we're looking at, picture in picture as well. He's fighting tooth and nail for this 5th position out on the racetrack. Coming down now into the hairpin at the start of the lap. No room for the number 16 to find a way past. Puntola showing all of the aggression needed to find a way past. And Brendan, this is going to be a fight now, all the way up Eau Rouge and onto the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, you can see tucking right in, choose the line of least resistance possible through here. Don't go with the speed, bit of oversteer into the wall, massive crash, but he keeps it in a straight line. But that is going to be critical for his race. Is he going to be able to get the car back to the pit lane? Is he going to be able to fix that damage?
No, so often we see this in real and virtual racing. The slipstream of the car in front disturbs your car, disturbs the level of downforce. You don't have the grip that you expect to have underneath you through Eau Rouge, which is a corner of maximum commitment. And Nicola Puntola pays the ultimate price for that one. Heavy contact with the barriers. We saw damage on the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo as well. Puntola, the front of your screen that you see, the purple and black car there, will now have a heck of a lot of work to do. There's 19 minutes 30 seconds left on the clock. He's still firmly in the points paying positions in 6th position. Nicola Puntola will be kicking himself for that one. And again, I'm going to throw this one to Dino. As a driver, when you make a mistake, a fundamental error like that, how difficult is it to get yourself back into the game again after that one and not be thinking too deeply on the mistake you've just made?
Obviously, it's really difficult to follow on this track, especially Sector 2, but also in Eau Rouge with these GT cars. But yeah, as you say, to get back after a mistake, it's really not easy, and you just kind of have to put your head down and get back to it.
Yeah, and of course, damage as well will be carried now by that machine for Nicola Puntola. Look how much understeer he's picking up as we come down to the ultra-fast back section of the racetrack. Puntola keeping the car firmly to the left-hand side of the track, giving space to his rival. That is Posade, that makes his way back up into 6th position. Biogrand in position 8 that we saw a little bit earlier on is now the next man in the list. Will Puntola abandon this and go down pit lane? If he does, that will be very much the end of his points-paying opportunities. Coming in to the bus stop chicane, that car must be absolutely awful to drive with all of that damage so far, Brendan.
Yeah, exactly. I've been looking at it and I was thinking about the way that he crashed. He crashed head-on into the barrier, so there shouldn't be suspension damage. But there's going to be a lot of drag. You can see cars fighting massively. I think this was the first lap, a bit of contact, a bit messy there from our drivers, to be honest. But as we're cracking on the race with Puntola, he's going to have a lot of drag from the car. He hit the car nose on into the barrier, so I don't think he's going to have any suspension damage. If he does, it's going to be very minor, but it's all the damage is on the front splitter and the front area of the car, so he's going to have reduced front downforce, like you talked about, the understeer, what's going to wear out the tyres a little bit more, but as well then the drag down the straight. So speaking of the guy with understeer, this guy hasn't got any. He's in the zone, putting away at the front, setting fastest laps of the race as he goes. How do you like him? I think he's on for another win.
He is indeed. Isaac Price very firmly has been the former man in Group A here in the Ferrari Esports Series 2021. The man very much on form, taking win after win with seemingly no competition. And Dino, success breeds success on the racetrack, doesn't it? As a driver, getting confidence of some good results behind you, that goes such a long way to extending your performance, doesn't it?
Obviously, you get a boost of confidence for this, especially after it's a difficult track to pull away on Spa. I know from real life racing as well. It's a track where you really can follow with the toe. So I think he has done a really good job this race so far.
Yeah, really strong race once again for Isaac Price. 3.9, nearly 4 seconds to the good, with the halfway point is a minute and 30 seconds away. Of course, plenty can still happen between now and the checkered flag. Only one mistake and it can all be over in a flash. As meanwhile, further down the running order, Principe and Pompelli swap places in 16th and 17th. Only 18 cars left on the grid as Tavanari, Garcia and Marte have retired from this race. But Isaac Price continues to be your race race leader. 2 minutes 17.596 was his last lap. Kamil Pawlowski, second position. Danilo Santoro in third. Marco Vanoli, Bukazek, Posade, Belogrand, Puntola holding on in position 8th, Chiron in 9th, and Filipek round out the top 10 as we hit the halfway mark of this race. And Brendan, all our drama, all our excitement that we've seen at the start of the race, that's given us a little bit of field spread now, and now it's time to see what the real natural pace of these drivers is as they try and close those gaps down.
Yeah, exactly. But like I talked about at the start of the race, there was a lot of incidents and people getting damaged. So I reckon by the end of this race, we've got 15 minutes to go. It's going to close back up, you know, because the people who maybe got away with the incidents at the start but picked up damage but maybe didn't spin in the incident, they're going to be further down the road where we're going to have hungry competitors chasing them down, knowing that this is their last opportunity to make the grand finale. A lot of pressure in these 15 minutes. Can 15 minutes change your life and your career? It definitely can.
Yeah, it absolutely can. Remember, everybody at home, the big prize that everybody's racing for today and over the course of this 4-round championship is to qualify for the grand finale that takes place on December the 14th. The grand finale, of course, will be the top 12 drivers from Group A and the top 12 drivers from Group B coming together in a 3-race mini competition. The winner of said 3-race mini competition will join the Ferrari Driver Academy Esports team. Now, Brendan Lee, of course, is a Ferrari Driver Academy Esports team racer. He's won the Formula One Esports Championship in the past. He's joined the famous Prancing Horse now and is currently racing in esports competitions around the world. But Dino Bogdanovic is a Ferrari Driver Academy young driver, races in the Formula Regional European Championship. And Dino, can you tell us, our audience at home, a little bit about what it means to represent Ferrari in international motorsport?
Obviously, a brand like Ferrari, a team like Ferrari, it's one of the biggest brands in the world and most iconic brands in the world, I would say. So it really means a lot to represent this brand Ferrari and to be a part of it, and obviously to have the support, you get a boost of confidence, obviously, because Ferrari is supporting you. They have seen something in you, and yeah, it's really amazing. And to continue the partnership we have for next year, it's really feels good. So yeah.
When you were growing up back home and looking to embark in a career in racing, in the early days in karting, did you ever imagine there'd be a time where you'd be sitting in a racing car and that famous Ferrari logo would be on your overalls and you can call yourself an official Ferrari driver?
Obviously, I have dreamt about it a lot. I'm still dreaming for one day being in Formula One. But yeah, obviously I had even a Ferrari suit when I drove karting. So I've always been a Ferrari fan. Also, my whole family, my dad, always been a fan of Ferrari. So to represent it now and to be a part of it in this journey, which is just the start, it really feels amazing.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, Dino. Of course, the icing on the cake is joining Brendan and I in the commentary booth for the Ferrari Esports series as we're looking at Danilo Santoro now riding on board. And Brendan, Danilo's actually doing a very nice job of closing down the gap to Poland's Kamil Pawlowski ahead. So Santoro starting to show a really nice turn of pace, and that car is dancing on the edge of Edition.
Yeah, exactly. If you can see the delta on the onboard as well, he's a little bit under his delta, but for most of the lap he was actually green. Red means you're slower than your personal best of the race so far. Green means you're faster. He lost a little bit of time. He lost about a tenth to the car in front for that little section there, but you can see, like you talked about, dancing on the limit. This is the most beautiful way to drive these cars, is you get a little bit of rotation on the entry, you catch it with the steering wheel, get the car straight for the exit, and you plant the power. He's about 3/10 away from a good slipstream race. As soon as he can get in that slipstream though, game on for P2. We've got 11 minutes to go. I think he can make a fight for this.
Yeah, this is fabulous to see as well. Of course, the drivers, the main aim is to finish in the top 12 in the standings, but the drivers want every position. Brendan and I have spoken about this in previous races, Dino. Yes, points are important, but in a championship like this, in an esports series like this, you also want to show your rival that you're better than them. So when it comes to a later stage in the championship race, I'm going to interrupt myself actually, as Philippe goes down the inside. Nice contact as well with the damage. Nicola Puntola, Philippe runs deep into the bus stop chicane on corner exit. Puntola does well to get the car back on the racetrack. That was a failed overtaking manoeuvre in 10th position for Philippe. Lelorca trying to find his way past as well, coming down into the first corner, but no room there, and Puntola hangs on. But just going back to my point, Dino, that mind games play a big part in sim racing as well, showing your rivals that you can beat them, so you can use that to your advantage further down the line. And is that something that you've ever found useful in real and virtual, just really stamping some authority against your rivals?
100%, that's right. Also in real life, that bit of you put yourself down and show who's the boss. It can make a huge difference on track.
Absolutely. When things are so close as we've got in the Ferrari Esports series, every little advantage, real or perceived, that you can get over your rivals, you need to take that with both hands. And Brendan, let's have a quick word for this purple car. I'm just about to say how good he's doing when he runs so deep in a Bruxelles that opens the door and gift wraps the overtaking manoeuvre for not one but two of his rivals, and now somebody else as well. That's Adrian Cott at the back of the shot going through as well. So Puntola, I was just about to credit him for a job well done, and he's given away 3 places. He's struggling now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think what that was about was when there was the internet chicane, he sort of straight lined the corners to get back on the track and gained a bit of an unfair advantage, to be honest. He was fighting as much as he could to stay in the points, but I think he now realizes that the chance of the points is over, and he's being a fair sportsman right now and not affecting other people's ability to get into the grand finale. He could be an unfair person and start taking people out as a reaction. Maybe he's upset himself. I've seen other people do that as well, to be honest. But I have to credit him here, to be honest, because he's being super fair and he's being super respectful as well to other people and their races.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. Obviously, the level is incredibly high. The prize is sensational, but there's still some good sportsmanship taking place in sim racing in general, and the Ferrari Esports Series in particular. Kamil Pawlowski that we're looking at now in second position. Pawlowski is a very, very quick driver indeed. We've seen him at the sharp end of many competitions over the years. He's not quite come into his own so far this season in the Ferrari Esports Series, but he's second position now, 1.7 seconds to the good of Danilo Santoro. So Kamil Pawlowski has broken the toe a little bit, broken the spirits of Santoro behind, and cementing his second place in this race, but 5.5 seconds in arrears to Isaac Price. This is Adrian Cott that we're looking at now. So very recently moved up into 11th position, courtesy of the Nicola Puntolo conceding on the previous lap. And Cott's not given up. He found his chances of a top 10 firmly in the slipstream down the Camel Straight. This is a good opportunity coming into Lecombe. Adrian Cott keeps up the inside, gets as much slipstream as he possibly can, shows his nose nice and early, gets the job done before we even hit the breaking point. Adrian Cott, 10th position, a nice clean overtaking manoeuvre, Dino.
Really, it's something you set up from the beginning of the lap to get that slipstream onto the Camel Straight, and to have that toe down to the straight and before the corner to have that position done.
Now, I want to ask you a little bit about the sort of the art of overtaking in real and virtual racing, to maybe some of our audience who are not too familiar with motor racing. How far ahead of you do you think as a driver? Is it just a case of, oh, there's a gap, let's go for it? Or are you planning this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 corners, maybe even a lap in advance?
Yeah, it's in many cases it's something you really planned. It can be maybe 3 laps before the overtake. You really have to plan, and you need to have to see the strong points of your rival and the weak points of your rival, and use that in your advantage.
Yeah, great stuff. Great insight there from Dino Boganovic. So thank you very much for that one. And Brendan, as a very, very experienced sim racer, not saying that you're getting old chap, but an experienced sim racer, shall we say, what sort of how much practice are these guys and girls for this championship put it in? It's not a case of rocking up, is it? There's so many miles that these drivers have run up to this point, isn't there?
Oh yeah, the professionalism behind the scenes is incredible. I speak a little bit with Isaac Price as well, because I've known him from F1 Esports previously, and the level of commitment he's putting into winning this championship is at the highest standard possible.
Yeah, really, and it's showing as well. As we're looking now at Marco Principe in 16th position, shown by Al, just ahead of him, goes to the inside. That's a very, very unlikely place to make an overtaking manoeuvre. Bayal stays to the outside, runs off the racetrack as well. They run too wide now, down into the bus stop chicane. Principe gets the job done on the braking, despite damage on that number 44 machine. That does not hold the car up, and he makes a position. 15th place, Tamia Benzik is the next one up the road, but she is a fair distance ahead now. So unfortunately for Principe and Bayal, I think that is pretty much the end of their on-track excitement, unless they race amongst each other. And Luca Vanola, let's have a look at him. We've not spoken much about Luca Vanola. He had a good start, then fell back, then got it back again in fourth position. Chaps, he's in no man's land here, and that must be so difficult for a driver to maintain concentration, surely, when there's nobody really in front but nobody behind either for position.
I mean, God hasn't got away with that problem. He's right up behind the car in front. But like you say, 5 minutes ago, all of these drivers have to remain switched on, because as we saw, there's been multiple crashes up Eau Rouge, for example. In the GT car, it's just about flat out, but a fully committed flat out with catching oversteer while you do it. If you switch off by 1-2%, your race might be over.
And as you say, Adrian Cott's a man that cannot afford to switch off, cannot afford to rest or relax at all. He's in 10th position. That is Philippek just ahead. And as you say, Brendan, we've seen it already where following a car closely behind, that upsets the balance, that reduces the downforce as well. So he's got to be ultra careful, does Adrian Cott, to make sure that he can keep the car on the straight and narrow. Nothing nasty happens behind the wheel, and this is a great opportunity for Cott now. 10th position, he fancies his chances at 9th place. This part of the racetrack is entirely foot flat to the floor. You're relying on the slipstream. You're relying on your own ability to follow and outbrake the car ahead. Will the car ahead cover the inside line? Yes, it does. Cott goes to the outside into the bus stop chicane. This will become the inside if he can stay alongside, avoiding contact with each other. Looks to make the cutback, abandons the overtake nice and early to get the run down into La Source hairpin, but good defending there from Philippek.
Yeah, he tried to get a bit of switchback, got a bit of oversteer as he came over the crest, a bit too much there. But right now, he's right on the back of him again. This is going to be an intense run-up through Eau Rouge. We can't forget about the car behind as well. Only 1 second. If they hold each other up through this corner, there's going to be a three-way scrap down the straight.
Yeah, this is some fantastic battling. Look at him trying to get a bit of clean air coming through Eau Rouge as well. Make sure the car's balanced. Don't lose it on the top of the hill. No, he does not. Great run from Adrian Cott. Better than the car ahead as well. Philippek now firmly on the defensive. Goes early to the inside, coming down the Kemmel Straight into Lecombe. This is the favoured overtaking manoeuvre at Spa-Francorchamps. Can't get the job done. He's ahead into the braking zone. Yes, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. That is another position in 9th. Gets the car, stops to the apex as well. Takes the place. And Dino, this is your first exposure to the Ferrari Esports series. It's pretty impressive the way these guys perform on track, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool to see the professionalism every driver put into this, and a lot of time for sure put into this and working on the setup and also really cool to see, and also to use those kind of real life maneuvers also in the game in the overtaking opportunity. And we can also see that the tires start to drop off a bit, and the drivers are making more mistakes, so it can open up for an opportunity to overtake.
And that is actually a really good point that Brendan and I have observed this over the course of the series so far. It is only a 30-minute race, of course, but tyre wear does play a part. And again, as a driver, Dino, what can you do to influence your tyre life in the car to keep the car alive all the way through the stint?
Obviously, you can, in the fast corners, really not push as hard as you can, obviously, but also on power to not get that little wheel spin or the rear locking in the braking is really important to take care of the tires like that.
And we've seen, haven't we, Brendan, so many times that when the competition is so close and when the gap between success and failure is so fine, it is incredibly difficult to balance the needs of looking after your car but still carrying enough speed to be able to finish in a solid position, isn't it?
that's really where the expertise of people like Isaac Price has been coming into this race, because I've been watching the gap, how it grows, how it maybe goes away, but it has been growing all race. And he's gaining more time now than he was at the start of the race compared to the rest of the field. And what that tells me is he obviously had the raw pace because he qualified, I think, 3 tenths by faster than everyone else on pole position. But at the start of the race, he took a bit of time to nurse the car, nurse the tyres, like Dino talked about, in the fast corners. Don't push it, don't slide it. And now he's able to reap the rewards of that right now. And he's 7 seconds in front. And considering most of his lap is done at full throttle, and you can't do anything more than the car can do at full throttle, that is a mammoth effort by Isaac Price.
Yeah, another very commanding display from our race leader. Isaac Price will finish this 4-round main championship as the champion, of course, and go through to the 3-round grand finale. So Price setting an early benchmark for his rivals as a man that's going to be very, very closely watched over the course of the Ferrari Esports Series Championship. If you're new, of course, to the Ferrari Esports Series, welcome to this broadcast. Do give us a like and a subscribe on the Ferrari YouTube channel. Stay in touch with us on social media as well for all the latest news and discussion ahead of our grand finale on December the 14th, where we crown the new 2021 Ferrari Esports Series champion and the next driver to take part in the Ferrari Driver Academy. But gentlemen, it's coming on to the final lap. This man, Isaac Price, pole position, fastest lap, and what's looking like going to be a race win. Dino, just tell me, how impressed are you, this man and his performance?
Really impressive, especially on Spa. To build that 7-second gap, it's really not easy. And yeah, really a lot of credit to him. And it seems like he have really done a very good job with the tires, as Brendan says. That in the beginning, he didn't make that gap in the beginning of the race. He really took care of the tires, and then in the end, made that 7-second gap.
And Brendan, we've obviously spoke about Isaac more than once during the course of this season. This has got to rank up there amongst one of his strongest performances, surely.
You know what I'm laughing at right now? I just saw briefly that his Delta went green into the corner and he's sliding the car even now. It's the final lap, but he doesn't care. You know, he's making a statement, isn't he? Look, all the way through the corner, he's pushing the car. Most people right now would see 7 seconds, you go, it's fine, I can relax, I can take a coffee, no problem, let's relax. Look at him, he's on the track limits, he's still pushing, the intensity is still there. He's not relaxing one little bit, and this shows pedigree. This shows hunger, it shows desire within him right now. Because like we talked about so many times, the mind games, and we talked about in this race as well, he isn't there just to win. He pulled out half a second in this middle sector alone. He's a man on a mission.
Yeah, he's there to dominate. He's there to show all of his rivals that you're gonna have to work especially hard to get up and compete with him. As we reach the grand finale, Kamil Pawlowski is the man that once again is looking likely to come up in runner-up spots. So another solid drive from the Polish star in second position. He's 4 seconds to the good of Danilo Santoro, who's rounding out our podium place as we come to the final portion of this lap. But Isaac Price really in this Group A race, showing that class, showing that performance once again to dominate proceedings from pole position, the perfect race start, and never put a wheel wrong for the final time through the bus stop chicane. Isaac Price will be the man that takes the checkered flag and race victory here at Spa-Francorchamps in the 4th and final main series round of the Ferrari Esports Series main championship. Never will you see a more dominating performance than the one showed by Isaac Price today. Kamil Pawlowski comes over the line in second position. Danilo Santoro rounds out our virtual podium finishers with Luca Vanoli in 4th position. Lukaszek crosses the line in 5th place. Danilo Passade will come to the line in a few moments' time to take 6th position, just ahead of Tony Beogrand in 7th. In 8th position, Adrian Cott, after what has been a rather eventful race indeed. And Chiron in 9th, Filipek in 10th, Lalorca 11th, Colavito P12, Puntola, with more damage than one would care to have at this stage in a race, eventually limps over the line in 13th, ahead of Bensek for her best result of the season. Principe in 15th, Pompale in 16th, Bale in 17th, DNF, Martin, Tavanari, Garcia and Marte all failing to finish the race. Gentlemen, take a moment. That was good.
Yeah, what a sensational race. You can see I'm proud of these drivers.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And just confirmation there of the finishing results. We saw some did not starts as well. Noah Rodriguez, Andrea Ottomane, Gianluca Maglione and Luca Gravino failed to start the event. But as you say, Brendan, that was some really strong performances throughout the field. And who would you go for your driver of the race? Brendan Lee, I'll ask you first.
I'm going to say Isaac Price, my driver of the race. He deserves it. He dominated it.
Yep, absolutely. And Dino, for yourself, who would you say the driver of the day from Group A?
I would have to agree with Brendan. Really impressive drive and win by 7 seconds. Really impressive.
Yeah, fantastic stuff once again for Isaac Price. And of course, he will be very firmly going into the grand finale. Now, let's have a look at the starting grid for Group B. The racing continues. Leonardo Pagano on pole position from Leonardo Dalcombe. In third place, Joni Cattiglia just ahead of Alessandro Miraglia. In fifth and sixth is Edge Altanel with Michael Tanitsa in sixth place. In seventh is Britain's Jonathan Riley, Haroldus Joshuas in P8. Mattia Degoni in ninth. Dominic Ullman rounds out the top 10. On the sixth row of the grid is Davide Bolensie and Maurice Striker. 13th and 14th is Jerica Slovanak and Oscar Barco from Spain. In 15th place is Davide Adami and Mattia Grassi in P16. Lubralov in 17th and Francesco Molinaro in position 18th. Matthias Tiskovic in 19th and 20th is Jacob Stramidlo. Arnaud Lecombe is 21st and Giuliano Cavallari 22nd. Gator Noge in 23rd and 24th is Andrea Foster. 25th, Maxime Batty-Foulier. And unfortunately, people like Arnaud Lecombe will not be on the grid for this one, although he has firmly secured his place in the next round. So let's have a look. The lights are about to extinguish once again. We are racing here at Spa-Francorchamps. This is Group B of the final race of the Ferrari Esports Series main championship. Everybody gets away from the standing start nice and cleanly, making sure they make no contact as we head down into the La Source hairpin for the very first time. Can they have a cleaner opening lap than we saw in Group A? We will find out. Dalcombe now takes the race lead heading up into Eau Rouge for the first time. Pagano drops down into second position. Catilla on the attack in P3 as well. Our first, second and third place cars are separated by absolutely nothing on the defensive for the run down now into Lecombe for the very first time. Pagano looks to the outside. Dalcombe on the inside covering hard. Catilla trying to pick up anything that happens ahead of him. Meanwhile, Michael Tanitsa into fourth position further back. Altinel in sixth place drops down. Miraglia finds a way past as well. So plenty of drama in the middle of the pack. Molinaro and Striker dropping all the way down the order as well. This is Altinel now on the inside. Miraglia on the outside. Altinel is dispossessed. Miraglia finds a way past in a fifth position. The middle of the pack is so closely compacted, Brendan. Anything can happen.
It's car on the grass as well, but he's getting straightened up. It's all okay, but this is amazing racing at the highest standard possible. You can see everyone's still so close. The top three are still separated by 4 tenths altogether. Everyone, this is such an amazing race. I noticed from qualifying that so many people were only separated by a tenth. This is going to be an intense final race.
It really is, and best seats in the house is Slovanak in 8th position. We can see Ullman, that's Dominic Ullman just ahead of us. Altinel and Miraglia that we saw racing hard in the first few corners are just up the road as well. Look at your rear view mirror there. There you can see Riley in 9th place trying to find a way past as well. This is Altinel currently in the second place of this little sandwich. Miraglia in the bright yellow car is just ahead of us. This is Altinel in number 19 machine, black and white car on the run down into the bus stop. She came further down the order. Joshua makes his way past Riley, so Riley now drops in 10th position. This is everybody and their family all sniffing over the same bit of tarmac, the same bit of racetrack as well. Riley under pressure. Here we go. Joshua finds his way past again. Riley stays in 10th position. Bolensie as well trying to buy into this fight. Look at these cars. All the cars on the grid at the same bit of tarmac, 3 wide down into La Source. They just about make it right through there unscathed. Some really good driving from all of our racers, and unbelievably, I daren't say this in case it's commentator's curse, we've had a fairly clean first few corners.
Yeah, it was super clean. No, there was a car on the grass, but that was it. And they're all going through a rouge nice and cleanly from what I can see so far. But everyone's still in the slipstream side by side up chicane. Is there going to be a move for P2? No, they're falling back into line. They're pulling away from Tanitsa quite a lot, but you see side by side behind as well. This is where it gets a bit scrappy, but everyone's falling back into line.
Fantastic stuff. Altonel shows his nose nice and early, but does not have enough of an overlap. So Miragalia is better on the brakes, manages to get through Lecombe faster than his rivals, and Dominic Ullman is still just a few yards further back from this fight for 5th and 6th position. So Ullman trying to buy into the fight. Slovanak trying to go with him down in 8th position as well. As we see, there we go, Altonel gets sideways through No Name, does a great job to collect the car up nice and early. And Dino, the level of intensity we're seeing from the drivers, it's so much more difficult in a sim race, isn't it, because you can't physically move your head around to see where the other cars are in relation to your own.
Obviously, in the real car, you can feel it with the whole body, how the car is moving. But here, you can only feel it in your hands, and you can see it. And then, as we see, a big oversteer moment. And yeah, I mean, you can really not feel it with the whole body. So yeah, it's difficult, and especially when the tires start dropping off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think while you were talking there, that could have been Riley that was knocked down from 10th position into 16th place, 17th place, 18th place now. So Riley having a real bad time of it over the course of the first couple of laps. Maybe we'll catch up and find out exactly what happened there, whether that was a mistake of his own doing or whether he was helped into that slide. We will no doubt find out. This is Catilla now, 3rd position. The number 8 machine just ahead of us is Pagano, then the race leader as well. So our 3 race leaders are separated by nothing. Leonardo Pagano is currently the man with the fastest lap of the race in these opening few moments of this event. Pagano are riding on board with him now, had a cover in the course of the first corner, but keeps it nice and clean for the run up to Eau Rouge. And Leonardo Dalcombe ahead. He will want these two, Brendan, won't he, to squabble as much as they can in these opening few laps, so he's got an opportunity to break that toe.
Exactly, but I don't think I think they're going to be smart enough not to hold each other up. But as well, watch Tanitsa. He's only 1.8 seconds behind. And I noticed the top 4 all lapped within a 10th of each other last lap. So everyone's going to close up. You can see, get a bit closer to braking, but you can see he wasn't ever going to go for the maneuver. There's 6 tenths to P1 right now. You need to have a good middle sector if you want to keep your chance of the slipstream alive.
Oh, this is sensational racing. Plenty of drama here in the Ferrari Esports Series. Group B race, of course, the final race of the main championship season. So these guys and girls are racing not only for points, not only for a place in the grand finale, but also personal and professional pride. Michael Tanitsa, as you say, 4th position in the dark blue car at the back of your shot, having a great season, second time of asking in the Ferrari Esports Series. He's having a nice, cautious, clean race at this stage, letting these 3 at the front of the field sort themselves out, squabble over position, and Tanitsa will come through and pick up those valuable points. We've got Miraglia in 5th place. Altonel still, despite the lettering moment earlier in the race, holding on to 6th from Ullman, Slovanak, Joshua's and Anime in 7, 8, 9 and 10th position. And Dino, again, much like the first race, we've got drivers here that are fighting for points and championship positions, and drivers that are just in this to have your own race. And how do you approach this from a racer's point of view? You've seen the first race, you've seen where the overtaking positions are. Do you replicate what the first race rivals did, or are you looking to find an opportunity to pounce where maybe your other drivers don't expect it?
I think at the moment it's a really interesting race, as top 3 is really close together, and yeah, I think it's about managing it a bit, managing the gap until the end of the race, and not fight too much, so the top 4, I mean P4, P5 doesn't catch up too much.
Now, Dino, you've done plenty of real and plenty of virtual racing. Are the pressures similar between racing for position? I'm not talking about the pressure sort of like winning a championship or keeping a drive, but the pressure of just physically fighting there and then on track. Are they similar in the real and virtual worlds?
It's a good question, because in sim racing it can sometimes be contact that's not intentional. It can be net codes and so on. So obviously you don't have that in real life, but it can be a bit tight in sim racing in terms of those kind of stuff.
And we've got some really, really close racing. Of course, Assetto Corsa is the platform we're using here in the Ferrari Esports Series. A great platform from Kuno Simulazioni as well. So great stuff to have Assetto Corsa here once again for the Ferrari Esports Series. Maurice Stryker that we're looking at now. Maurice obviously running a little bit lower down the running order than he would have expected maybe at the start of the event. So good stuff from Maurice Stryker continuing the fight. And I just want to talk about netcode for a minute. Obviously, we want to give our big thanks to Kaspersky Internet antivirus with gaming mode on. Its privacy and security are granted without any performance loss in terms of frame rates or ping rates, so you don't experience any distraction as it blocks and security update notifications while you play. So really good to have Kaspersky involved in the Ferrari Esports Series and helping us and our drivers up our game and put on such a fantastic show for everybody at home today. As we're looking now at Barco, he's chasing down Oz. Oz having a good race in 13th position as well, so one of her best runs of the season so far. And look at this, Riley, we saw him in the top 10, now in 17th place, flashing his lights. Brendan Lee, he's hungry to find his way past this little battle pack ahead.
Yeah, and to be honest, as long as he keeps it clean, the top 10 is still a real possibility. The gaps between the cars are actually really small at the moment, at maximum 2.5 seconds. But watch Moregla, P5 at the moment. He's been setting the fastest laps of the race. I think he still has the overall fastest lap. No, Leonardo just took it on the last lap, but he's hunting down. I reckon if he can get through Tunisia quite quickly, he could still be on for the win. So keep an eye on P5 throughout this race.
Fantastic stuff, and Michael Tunitsa, of course, will be very, very keen to cement his championship position. But look in your rear view mirror, that is Alsnell again, ever so close as we get into the breaking point, doing what Dino was talking about earlier and trying to fill the mirrors of the car ahead and to put off the driver that we're riding on board with now. And when that doesn't work, Dino, when you fill the mirrors but the car ahead is just not making mistakes, what's left in your armoury to try and find a way past?
I mean, you just really gotta keep doing it. Keep putting the pressure on the guy ahead and wait, or use the advantage when where he's weak. Let's say weakest point of the rival.
Absolutely, we see an overtaking manoeuvre here. Actually, that is Jonathan Riley making the first of his victims at the front, at the back of the field. So Riley on the recovery. Grassi has been demoted now, as has Molinaro as well. So Riley up in a 16th position. Maurice Stryker, that we saw a few moments ago on the screen, is the next man on the list. We're looking at Grassi now as he follows Riley through the middle part of the circuit. Not really any traditional overtaking opportunities at this stage in the race, but it's important for car balance and lap time as well to stay in touch with those around you. Bolognese moving up into the top 10 as well. I'm not seeing off camera, so Bolognese 10th position, Adami dropping down into 11th place. And while this is all happening, the gap at the front of the field has extended to a mighty 0.4 of a second. So that fight continues all the way through. Riley actually makes it past Maurice Stryker and Barco, so 14 and 15th as we're looking at Adami now.
Yeah, it was super tight at the moment. Like I say, Riley's on his way to the top 10. His trajectory is upwards, and it's going to be a really interesting fight. And like we talked about in the Group A race, everyone knows that everything's on the line. Right now, he's tucked in the slipstream. You see, he's in a really good mental state at the moment, because when you overtake, you gain that bit of momentum, you gain that bit of confidence. You can see Regular going past Nitsa right now, as I was talking about, but they're going to be fighting. You need to be smart right now. You need to brake early for this corner and make sure you get the slipstream down the long back straight. And I think Tanita is falling behind, and he's going to be taking the slipstream as long as he get a good exit, and they should be getting a good slipstream right now.
Great to see this from Tunitsa, actually hungry to retake that position. Drop down into 5th place. Maraglia makes the way past at the chicane. So Tunitsa has not given up the fight yet. He's a little bit slower through Eau Rouge and over Radio at the top of the hill. And that is good news for Maraglia. He's managed to extend the advantage. So Tunitsa not really close enough to close in the slipstream. And to me, Dino, that looks like Michael Tunitsa has favoured downforce rather than ultimate top speed in this car.
Yeah, really. I mean, slipstream can be really effective on the straight, on the camel straight, and on the back straight before the chicane. But really, it's difficult to follow in the second sector.
Yeah, and obviously we talked in race one about the need to set your car up with compromises. Some drivers go for grip, some go for ultimate fast speed, and we're looking at Barco now getting it all wrong through the Lacombe section of corners. Barco, of course, being overtaken by Riley ahead, and that put him under pressure from Grassi and Maurice Stryker again. Down the inside of the back of the shot, Maurice Stryker through Brussels, side by side with Barco. Will he overtake? Yes, he does, as we come into no name. So Stryker having disappointing in terms of result, but outstanding in terms of on-track battle race so far, currently in 16th position. Let's have a look now at Catilla, currently the fastest lap holder, third place on the track. Pagano just ahead, and Leonardo Dalcombe, our pole position man, in first position, second position on the grid, should I say, for Dalcombe. So these three still unable to break free of each other. And now, Brendan, we're getting very, very close to the halfway marker in this race. This is when we're going to start to see how the individual setups of the car start to come into play, isn't it? And how the pace will go and come to certain drivers in that top three battle.
Exactly, I think we need to talk about what's happening to Tanitsa. He's down to P11. He was P6 at the start of the lap, and he's lost about 10 seconds. So he's clearly had an off-track moment, and there's someone attacking him right now. So this has been horrific. This has been a nightmare lap for Tanitsa. It doesn't look like there's damage on the car. So he might have just had oversteer. He might have just gone through the grass. But this is really where it's critical to keep the cool mind, keep the cool composure, and start to fight your way back up to ensure your position in the grand finale.
Ladies and gentlemen at home, introducing the eagle-eyed Brendan Lee, who spotted that one. Good spot, Brendan. Actually did not notice that one on the timing screen, but you're absolutely right. Michael Tanitsa, just a lap ago, I was praising him for his unwillingness to give up the fight for fourth position with Miraglia. Unfortunately for Tanitsa, that one hasn't worked out well at all, but he's back on a charge again now, Dagoni ahead. And let's have a look at a replay. This is the opening lap of the race. Look how close and compact these cars are through Lacombe, and there is contact there with one of the drivers. So unfortunately, many cars onto a small piece of tarmac do not always go, and that was the end result. But there we go now. Tanitsa makes his way back past Dagone, back up into 11th position. So whatever drama befell the purple car, it's obviously having no effect on the ultimate pace. It will just have been, unfortunately, a mistake. And Dino, as a driver, there is Michael Tanitsa we're looking at now. You're running fourth position, something happens, you're down in 10th, 11th, 12th place. It's so hard to keep your head in that scenario, isn't it, and start and recover whatever ground that you've lost.
Really, especially when you're maybe not an experienced driver, it's really difficult to get back. You can build it up by having a bit of experience, and it comes with experience to get yourself down and put the head down and keep fighting back again.
Yeah, and I think that's something, of course, they'll have to remind everybody at home that these are not professional esport drivers that we're watching today. These are people just like you and I, but a heck of a lot faster, that have gone out there, that have qualified for this competition through a hot lap qualification competition, that have gone through a series of races to get to this point, to get to the cusp of qualifying for the grand finale. And of course, they're racing to become professional esport drivers. So it's a great championship in terms of the grand prize, of course, but it's also fantastic to put these drivers in the shop window for potential esports teams, because make no mistake, virtual motorsport continues to grow and become ever larger. Many different teams and organisations are constantly getting involved in it, and these drivers will very firmly be putting their names in the shop window for future opportunities. Meanwhile, Jonathan Riley now in a 13th, passes this lady Oz in P14, so she drops down a position as well. Of course, a very popular YouTuber out there in social media land as well, having a good drive. Brendan, 14th place so far.
Yeah, I have to say, this has been a highlight of the season as well, and I don't think she's done just yet. She's tucked right into the slipstream right now. But you can see the car body language. She's fighting the car beautifully through the corners. So clearly she's taking a big breath right now. So she's preparing herself for the middle sector, showing the intensity. Although we're not pulling G-force in the simulator, I assure you, when you're at this level of racing, your heart rate's at 120 plus.
Absolutely, and somebody whose heart rate's probably significantly higher than that one heading into the final 12 and a half minutes of the race is this man, Leonardo Dalcombe, second position on the grid, early race lead, but he's not been able to break free despite the squabbling that's happening behind him. So this is very, very open to anything happening as this race comes to an end. And Brendan, is he going to be, at this stage, would you rather be the attacker or the defender?
12 minutes to go, I'd rather be the defender because it gives you the opportunity. When you're in the middle right now, you can't attack because you might lose. You know, like if you think, okay, I'm going to take a bit of a risk. I'm going to break 5 meters later, try and close the gap, get a bit into slipstream right now. Then you might lose the position to P3. You either want to be P1 or P3 right now because P1, you have the clear mind, you have the clear track, you can focus. When you've got a car in front of you of a GT, they're a bit bigger than a single seater, of course, and you're arriving to a corner, your vision might be blocked. So P3 is the most ideal, most calm place to be right now because you have nothing to lose in this situation.
Great insights there from Brendan Lee. Now let's have a quick look. This is Catilla, who is in that P3 in which we spoke about. These cars are separated by very little on the track and very little in the lap times as well. So it's going to take something special from one of these three drivers. And Dino, as a racer of some repute, both in real and virtual worlds as well yourself, where would you want to be in this three-car pack at this moment in time? Are you more comfortable as a driver defending from those behind, or are you more comfortable as the attacker, the aggressor?
To be honest, at this point, I would be the one who is attacking. I find it easier to haunt than to get haunted. And but yeah, in a sim racing seat, it's a bit different, I would say. Still, I would like to be the attacker, but it's just a different view.
Yep, absolutely. These cars continue to squabble at the front of the field. Let's have a look at Davide Bolensie now, down in 10th position. So Bolenesie's had a quiet but effective race so far to get himself up into the top 10 places. The number 41 machine that you see on your screen now, Davide Adame, just ahead of him in 9th place. Let's have a look. That's Bolensie now. Look at the concentration there, Brendan. That's a man who is 1000% focused. The task at hand, but interrupt myself a moment. Catilla makes the strike for second position. That is a great overtaking manoeuvre. Pagano drops down in a third place. Brave, unexpected overtaking manoeuvre, and Catilla takes the position away at long last.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is going to be overtake of the day. We've got 9 minutes, 41 seconds to go. So I don't want to call it too early, but that is a very strong contender for the overtake of the season, in fact.
Yeah, that is sensational, but the number 21, Pagano, has not given up yet. He did not like that one bit. Left the door open and paid the price. Now we're coming down into the bus stop. Not close enough to make an overtake. He'll be hoping that Catilla ahead misses his braking zone, which he does not. He has it all under control. And Pagano, if he had any more speed knocking around in the back pocket of his spare jeans or hiding behind the bottom of the sofa, now is the time to fish it out and deploy it in this race. 9 minutes to go. He will not be happy with third position. And you know, you're a driver, put yourself in his shoes. You've just been overtaken. You're still on the podium. You're still scoring massive points for the championship. Do you fight back and get that second position back, or do you consolidate and take the points for third?
I really think that if he doesn't overtake in the next 2-3 laps, he might want to catch up P1 with the P2 guy. So no, it's a difficult position he's in at the moment. They can either start fighting together, give up first position, or they can work together and try and catch up to P1. But he has a really strong pace, so it will be hard.
Yeah, this will be interesting now to see how this story unfolds over the next 18 and a bit minutes. Miraglia in 4th place is just keeping a watching brief, 4.4 in arrears. Joshua has lost a position as well, so Adame moving up the running order very nicely indeed. There's contact, somebody's off the racetrack, runs too wide, drops 2 wheels on the curb. That is Adame, I think, that we were speaking about. He does a very very good impression of a seesaw to keep the steering wheel and keep the car pointing on the straight and narrow. And Adamy, somehow, luck, judgment, drama, good fortune, etta cloverleaf, who knows, but he keeps the car on the track just about. And Michael Tanitsa now has got himself interested in the rear of that Ferrari 488 GT3. Drama, his eyes will be like dustbin lids, won't they, Brendan, after that?
Yeah, and he's going to have his mirrors full of Tanitsa right now, who's charging his way back up into the points after his small incident earlier, what we still don't actually know about too much yet. But you had a spin, like you say, the seesaw impression, he did a very good job, but right now he's got to focus on catching back up, get the slipstream of the cars in front. He's got 3 seconds to catch, and he's got a mirror full of Tanitsa. 7 minutes to go to qualify yourself for the grand finale. This is going to be good.
Yeah, there's plenty of drama. In Adam's favour, I suppose, is the fact that these two cars are squabbling tooth and nail. Josh Uas and Bolognese going almost side by side on the run down into the bus stop chicane. That gap has now just separated a little bit in the braking zone, of course, giving each other a bit of racing room, not wanting to be too close in case of contact. Those speeds, the lightest of contact, will very quickly lead to a retirement. Scoring no points is not what you need from the final race of the season, even if your qualification place is secured. You want to score the points, you want the confidence heading in to December 14th and the grand finale. Dropping back now, David Tanitsa, still 11th position, overtakes Adamy now. So while Adamy's day gets worse, drops down into position 11 as we see Murray Striker continuing to have a very, very frustrating but equally rather enjoyable day further down the running order. And Dino, as a competitive person, if you're having a bad day and you're not scoring points, or you're not where you thought you would be in terms of pace, there's a mistake. This answers my question very nicely. Murray Striker goes and says hello to the barriers. But Dino, if you're not having a good day and you're not scoring the result that you think you should be, is it still enjoyable if you're having a great race in close proximity with others?
It can obviously be enjoyable to race, especially if it's really close. You're battling with another driver. It can obviously be really enjoyable even if it's for last place. I'm enjoying it even on the simulator.
Yes, it must be that there's a balance, isn't there, between the competitive instinct of wanting a really good result and the racer in you that just wants to fight, isn't there?
Yes, of course. And also, if you're a P1 in a sim race, sometimes, it can get boring. And sometimes it has happened before. Me and my friends wait for each other just to battle, because sometimes you can miss that bit of battling and the competition between your friends and the other drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I can guarantee, Brendan Lee, not one of these drivers will be holding back and waiting for the other. They're so hungry, aren't they? We've seen it all year. So hungry for the result in the Ferrari Esports series.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dino, if you want to join and take the lead and wait up, be my guest, because I get a commentator on it. It would be great fun. But these drivers are fully going for it. And that's a personal invite for you next season, Dino.
Thanks, man.
Great stuff. Right then, ladies and gentlemen at home, 4 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. The gap now, that little fight between Catilla and Pagano that led to Catilla taking second position has bought our race leader 2.5 seconds worth of track advantage. That just goes to show, Brendan, doesn't it, that a bit of squabbling between the car, concentrating on each other rather than the task of going quickly, can very quickly drop so much time, can't it?
Exactly, and it also highlights the point that Dino made earlier about the slipstream effect. Like, as soon as they was able to break the toe, I noticed that Leonardo actually lowered his lap time, so he was being quite smart in it, and now he's putting away 4-5 tenths a lap as we get the beautiful cut from the directors to be on board with him. But he was actually very smart, like I alluded to. He was holding back when the cars were in a slipstream. He knew that he wasn't able to break the slipstream, so he held a bit of tyres, held a bit of pace back to save the tyres, and now he's reaping the rewards of it and pulling away comfortably what should be into an easy win right now. Hopefully not a commentator's curse. There's still 3 minutes to go.
And just to elaborate on that one, if we can, Brendan. So what sort of things do you do there? Is it just picking the throttle up a little bit later out of the corner, holding the apex a little bit longer so you compromise the car behind and don't let them get the run on you?
Yeah, it's all that sort of stuff. It really depends on where you are because he always had about 4, 5 tenths gap, so he was always safe. If you're defending, then we call it parking it on the apex. When you stop on the apex and the car behind can't get on the power until the car in front does. Much like you see on safety car restarts, you always see the lead car wait, bam, get on the throttle, put away by half a second down the straight. But what you can do right now is if you're in the lead and you know you've got 1, 2 tenths pace advantage, like Dino talked about earlier, you lift off in the high-speed corners. The car behind is going to get dirty air anyway, so he's going to be able to match or only go slower than you through that turn. So what you do is lift off. For example, Pouon, Eau Rouge, you save the tyre a little bit in those. In the high-risk corners, you save and reap the reward later on in the race.
Fantastic insight. Thank you, Brendan. As we're looking now at Bolognese in 9th position, Joshuas is having a great race up there in 8th. Almost does get collected into the bus stop. A touring car style punt. Thank you very much indeed. But Joshuas does well to keep the car on the racetrack, and Bolognese gets off the throttle, allows his rival a bit of room as well. He realises that was a mistake, but no harm, no foul. They'll continue to race hard, and Bolognese now has another opportunity. We've seen this many times before. Get the run through Eau Rouge, get a run over the top of the hill into Radion and down the Camel Straight, and an overtaking opportunity will present itself. And there's been some great driving, folks at home, so far in this second race of the day, Group B, the final race of the main Ferrari Esports series. We've got now just 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. And Dino, in the dying moments of this race, the cars will of course have gone through 27, 28 minutes worth of running. What sort of things as a driver are you feeling as your tyres start to wear out? How does it influence what you do behind the wheel and how the car behaves traditionally?
I mean, you can do a lot of stuff to balance the car still. If you're behind the driver, you can pick up a lot of understeer, and you can do different kind of stuff to work with that. And example, turning a bit later in the corner, rotate the car more with the brakes, or if you're driving alone, the rear start dropping off, overlap a bit, as we say in real motorsport. So a bit of throttle when you're together with the brakes to put the back of the car down and to not have so much front rotation. So you can do a lot of stuff only by the driving to change the balance.
Fantastic stuff. Right, we're coming into the bus stop chicane. There's only 11 seconds left on the clock, so this could very well be the final lap, the final corner of the main series championship. Heading out now is Leonardo Dalcombe. Can he take the checkered flag before the flag waves? No, he cannot. So we've got one more lap of competition. Maybe, Brendan, a smart play would have been to have got off the throttle a little bit and just allowed that timer to run down rather than take the risk of another 2 minutes plus seconds of Spa-Francorchamps.
Depends how confident you are in your fuel level, to be honest. I think obviously he's confident on his fuel level, but what you can do right now is you can trip up your opponents, because maybe the other people just maybe didn't put enough fuel in. Maybe they didn't predict this extra lap from their calculations before the race. Maybe they thought the race would be over. Let's see if the whole grid has enough fuel to this final lap.
And that is a very, very good point indeed. So keep your eye, ladies and gentlemen, on the timing stack to the left-hand side to see if any of these names start dropping down. As a commentator, I'm delighted we still have one final lap to go. There are still some fights that we need to resolve before the checkered flag waves, before these cars navigate the most amazing racetrack, if in my money at least, in Europe, that is Spa-Francorchamps, for one final time. Leonardo Dalcombe pretty clear, 2.1 seconds at the front of the field. Bolognese in 9th place really fancies his chances at that P8, and Anime, he's just grateful the car's still in one piece following his moment earlier on. Is ever present in the background trying to pick up the pieces of anything that may happen in this fight. And Dino, as the third car in this 4-car fight, do you get yourself stuck into that fight, or do you hang back and see if they trip up over each other?
Obviously, you can stay back a bit, wait for them to build up the fight even harder, and use it as your advantage.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Right, here we go. This is our race leader. This is the man that never looked like he was going to be headed once the cars got round that opening lap. He started on the front row of the grid, took a very, very early lead in the race and has not looked back since. This is Leonardo Dalcombe coming down into the bus stop chicane for the very final time. He spots his braking zone, he makes sure he catches the curb on both sides, accelerates to the line for Group B. Race winner Leonardo Dalcombe takes the checkered flag, and with it the race victory at the final race of the main Ferrari Esports Series 2021. A fantastic, a near faultless performance at the front of the field. Catilla takes a hard-earned second position. Pagano at third. Miragalia in fourth. Altanel P5. And we have ourselves a drama. Michael Tanitsa takes 10th on the final lap as well. Dagoni 11th. And Adami drops down into a DNF. Gentlemen, that was fun, wasn't it?
Oh, that was intense. Great way to round off the championship.
Yeah, really cool to see. Really cool to see the top three as well fighting together.
Absolutely brilliant. Dino, driver of the race for you, sir.
I would say Leonardo, really good job. As Brendan said, pulled away the gap straight when the P2 and P3 started fighting together.
Fantastic stuff. And same question to you, Brendan, as always, for the last time. Who's our driver of the day?
Hate to be boring, but Leonardo.
Yep, fantastic. Fantastic performance from Leonardo. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's prize giving time for the final race. We are looking to give away the beautiful Puma backpack that you see on your screen, Ferrari branded, of course, and one of our prize winners will be selected at random. The list goes on, and it is Bernardo Henriquez. Congratulations, Bernardo, on your prize. A fantastic opportunity for you there. And it just leaves me to say a massive warm thank you to Brendan Lee and to Dino for joining me today.
Joe, I'll take my pineapple pizza in the post.
Thank you very much, guys.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, guys. Best of luck with your endeavours next season as well, Dino. Brilliant to have you with us.
Thank you.
Ha! Excellent races, an outstanding series, and full of drama from beginning to end. Brendan Lee, thank you very much. Spa, Francorchamps, thank you very much as well for producing yet another classic couple of races here in the Ferrari Esports Series. Now, folks, do not go anywhere at all, because I am going to hand back to our very own Nikki Shields to tell you all about the things you've still got to get excited about in the world of the Ferrari Esports Series before our championship comes to an end later this year.
Well, as we predicted, two epic races. You can't beat Spa-Francorchamps for a track, can you? Huge congratulations, of course, to our qualified drivers, which means we now have a lineup of 24 drivers who are heading into the grand final. Paul, if you could run through our finalists.
Let's take a look at our 24 qualified drivers. Isaac Price is the eventual champion in Group A. Arnaud Lecombe, the champion of Group B, despite missing the final round of the season. 12 drivers from each group make it through to the grand finale. Kamil Filipek and Davide Adame being the final drivers from their respective groups to qualify for the December the 14th 3-race finale.
Well, what a wonderful way to spend an evening of virtual motorsport. Amazing stuff from absolutely everyone involved. Thank you so much. And don't forget that grand final will be taking place right here on the Ferrari Esports Twitch channel this December the 14th. So make sure you don't miss it. Put it in your calendar now, etch it in biro. Now, we've also got a very exciting final to reveal on December the 7th. As we head back to the Ferrari Mobile Esports Series and crown our top 3 finishers there. So stay tuned for that and make sure to pop along and say hello on the broadcast as well. We love to hear from you. But what an incredible day of racing it has been. Do stay in touch with the world of esport racing at Ferrari. Go and check us out at the Ferrari Esports Series website over on ferrariesportseries.gg, or of course catch us on social media at Ferrari Esports. You can get all the latest news and stories about what's going on in the competition. Well, can't believe it. That is all from us today, but still lots of excitement to look forward to. Once again, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you very soon.